The European War ended on May 8, 1945. People throughout America are cheering and celebrating the defeat of the Nazi threat. However, there is no end in sight in the Pacific. As the gruesome conflict enters its eighth unrelenting week, Enterprise steams back to Okinawa. It is May 14th at 5:30 a.m. The day is just getting started for the Big E's tireless warriors. We would return between 5:30 and roughly 6 o'clock. After crawling into our bunks, we would go to sleep. The Kamikaze then appears. 1-0 starts to follow the Big E at 6:56. The Japanese fighter dives in from dead astern. Subscribe to our channel Echoes of the Past for more fascinating stories. Enterprise continues to turn, using her weapons. To everyone's surprise, the Zero then rolls to the left, flips over, and gracefully plunges straight into the ship's top elevator. The ship is shaken from bow to stern by the biggest explosion in its legendary history. The 500-pound bomb on the Zero explodes 5 decks below, with such force that the entire flight elevator shoots straight up into the air. The incredible moment when a 15-ton elevator is launched over 400 feet straight up by the explosive power of a single kamikaze is captured in a photograph taken from the nearby USS Washington. Enterprise has been struck as never before, like a knife to the heart. The hull is blasted with holes, and the ship lists. Her planes have been damaged by fires. Repair workers evaluate the damage as the injured giant hobbles away from the battleground. The news is not good. Planes cannot be launched or landed due to a buckled deck and a missing flight elevator. Despite being an aircraft carrier, she is incapable of launching aircraft. The Big E has withstood numerous air, sea, and underwater attacks in almost 4 years of conflict. To remove Enterprise from the war, a single pilot with suicidal intent and exceptional flying abilities was all that was needed. The injured Enterprise has to go back to the States, Bremerton, Washington, for repairs, not just at Pearl Harbor. Pedro Sandoval. For us, the war ended there. The war was still raging, so we didn't want to leave, but the ship's condition prevented us from operating. Narrator. When the Japanese surrendered in August, Enterprise was still in dry dock. When Lloyd and I entered a Bremerton pub for a beer, someone rushed in and declared that the war was over. The conflict is over. And it was a wonderful feeling, I must say. On the deck of the battleship Missouri in Tokyo, the Emperor's delegates signed the unconditional surrender. Kamikaze Admiral Onishi apologizes in a letter to the 4,000 pilots he sent to their deaths on the day of the surrender. After that, he ritually ends his life. The protracted conflict is over. Like the rest of America, the men of Enterprise exhale in relief. From her actions during the initial attack on Pearl Harbor to the final Pacific battle at Okinawa, the USS Enterprise's story is the story of World War II. However, Enterprise's valiant deeds were only a reflection of the brave men and women who sailed her, the final generation of people who risked everything to literally save our country. Arthur Kropp. I didn't think it was glamorous. I only saw a great deal of damage and negative things. War isn't glamorous, but it's worth fighting for this nation. That is the reason we do it. Many people now approach me and express gratitude for my actions. Thank you. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for those guys, Alan Pietraszewski said. On the back of their sacrifice, we ascended. My tradition is their history. And I wouldn't even be here to fight if it weren't for the sacrifices they made. One of democracy's greatest weapons was the USS Enterprise, a deadly and ferocious machine designed to win a catastrophic war. The Big E, however, was more of a home to her men than a weapon. To me, it resembled a large mother hen. When you returned from a 300-mile search, you would see the small beacon flickering, and you would return to the ship after focusing on that beacon. Only our house was looking after us, you know. As long as her stories are told and there are Americans who remember, Enterprise and her brothers will continue to stand as examples of bravery, sacrifice, and tenacity. Even if Enterprise disappears and her men perish, she will still rank among the most decorated, brave, and combative ships in U.S. history.